Hello, hello. I am so excited. I got a special live today on a different day, Monday night. I'm talking with Serena and Pure Bliss. We're going to be talking about twin flames because last week last week I did a YouTube or and Facebook and Instagram, and I was talking about twin flames, and both Pure Bliss and Serena gave some great feedback. So I invited both of them to come on and let's have this discussion. Let's have this discussion because this is like, and I have another friend who's also going through her twin flame issues, and I think this is really big. A lot of people are probably going through this right now. A lot of people just pass through it. So I think it's great to have this discussion and just learn from each other. Ciao, Bellas. Someone said ciao, Bellas from Facebook.
Mhm.
Um,
Ciao.
so thank you for coming on. So, ladies, I'm going to let you introduce yourselves. Serena, if you want to go first.
Hi, everybody. My name is Serena, and I am a twin flame. And I'm so grateful to be able to talk about this because I literally couldn't talk to many people about it. Plus, I was advised by one of my coaches, don't even bother to try to explain this to people because you're going to look crazy. And I was losing my mind in the beginning of the twin flame journey, like after the love bubble phase.
Hmm.
During trigger phase and the separation phase, I didn't know what the hell was going on. So yeah, I'm making it through now, guys. So let's get into it
Okay.
deep.
Yes. Oh, and okay. Oh, hi, Chinzia. She just said it's Chinzia because it's not showing up. Ciao. Okay. So Pure Bliss.
Yes. Hi, everyone. I'm Pure Bliss, aka Annette. And so I am so thankful to be here. I am ecstatic to talk about relationship. As we know, how our entire existence is based on relationship, not just
Mhm.
with someone else, but with ourselves. So
Yeah.
my perspective and understanding and experiences with be it twin flame, soulmate, and or life partner may be a bit, over and unusual because I've heard and seen a lot of the different variations and interpretations of it. So I'm just here to share with everyone and have this conversation with these beautiful ladies about not just personal experiences, but also vicarious experiences and definitions and just inserting another perspective into the dynamics so we can all help each other solidify and work through and process all these experiences with, again, the relationship starts with ourselves first before it extends to someone else. So I'm looking forward to this conversation. Let's get it going.
Let's get it going. Yes.
Yes.
So I was sharing, and I was just sending this out to my network so people can know we're on now. So that's why I was looking down
Yay.
to let you know, letting
Mhm.
people know we on, and people are coming on. As you're coming on, say hello. Let us know if you've been in a twin flame situation. Let me know. Let us know something. Feel free to ask any questions. Like you said, Pure Bliss, whew, relationship is like it's so important because we're always in a relationship with ourselves, with our family, with our friends, with our loved ones, and it can be so confusing. um we have all kinds of different relationships, twin flame, soulmate. So let's get into, first and foremost, what do you think, what is the difference between soulmate and twin flame, if any of you want to get into that.
I can go ahead and give my
For me,
perspective on it. So, in my experiences, and I know we've all probably researched the topic. I'm pretty sure your audience, Renee, they are more connected spiritually, so they have heard this definition before. Whether you're in a twin flame soulmate. So, my understanding has evolved, I have to say, because it's not the same understanding that I had initially, what, maybe 20 years ago,
Hmm.
as to what a soulmate and a twin flame is. So the basic, we can go from basic understanding to other interpretation. So the basic understanding of what a soulmate is someone that you are in a relationship with, and you have some type of bond and they're there to be with you forever. That was my initial definition back in my younger years. That's your partner, that's the person you're going to spend the rest of your life with, and you only have one soulmate. And so that was so perplexing to me. I was like, really? So if I got married and got divorced, that means he wasn't my soulmate, or I married the wrong person, or even all the multiple relationships that everybody have. So of course, that one definition, that basic definition, didn't really stay with me. Didn't solidify, because I had other questions. Now let's fast forward to now, and my understanding now of what a soulmate is we have anyone that comes into your life and causes any change in your life is a soulmate. And that's not just an individual. That could be a pet. That could be even a plant. That can be anyone that we come in contact with, and they make a difference in our life. They are the catalyst of change in our life. And it doesn't matter what type of change that may be, but they have done, and they have been able to help us grow, so to speak. Then there is twin flame. So the twin flame is more interpersonal, one-on-one relationship. So my understanding now of a twin flame is when we are in tune with ourselves, because the relationship first starts within. We have to work on, we are our partner, initial partner. Right. So once you start loving yourself and you're in tune with yourself, then you start vibrating on a level, and you will attract a certain type of people vibrating on that same level. So the twin flame is not necessarily cosmically that let me go back first to talk about what the interpretation of a twin flame. So I've heard some describe it as, okay, so in the cosmos, when two beings are separated, and one is produced and the other one goes a separate way because they have another life to live, and then you come together in this lifetime. That was the initial definition that I heard. Now, fast forward to now, I'm understanding it more so that the relationship starts within. And then as we start expanding and we start vibrating and resonating, we will start attracting other people that are resonating on that level. So a twin flame is literally someone that's resonating on the same level with you, and you're having a karmic relationship. Oftentimes, if we want to insert astrology in it, and a lot of us do compatibility reports with our partner. So generally, with many twin flame, you will find a lot of Saturn present in the when you do a compatibility report. You'll see a lot of Saturn. Can you hear me okay? Serena, can you hear okay?
I'm having difficulty. Yeah, I'm having technical difficulty. Are you guys hearing anything okay?
It's better if you could be from a laptop. Can you come in from a laptop? Because we're just seeing your face like this. So
okay.
Just come back in from a laptop.
No, I can't come in from a laptop.
Oh, you can't. Could you have some earplugs that you could put in?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm just gonna take you off while you handle that, okay? All right.
So yeah. So continuing, you know how when we come together with our twin flame, it's two beings that are resonating on the same vibrational wavelength. So we are resonating. We have done work on ourselves, and now we attract a partner that's also resonating on that level. And oftentimes there is karmic. I was talking about Saturn being present on the compatibility report astrologically. So a lot of the times with our twin flame, we find a lot of those karmic compatibility resonance. And then let's fast forward to our lifetime partner. So a twin flame can be our lifetime partner, and sometimes it isn't. and also a soulmate can be a lifetime partner. Most often, twin flame, we always have this heavy karma with them. There is those are the ones that leave us wondering and oftentimes suffering, unfortunately, because they're there to teach us. So that's really my experience. I've had a few experience with twin flame, and you can it's simply sometimes often don't work. Oh, here's Serena again.
Okay.
Okay,
Much better.
wait, let me see. I think there's a little static.
Can you hear me?
Can you
okay?
hear us, Serena? Okay, yeah,
I
we
can
can hear
hear
you.
you
Can you
much
hear us?
better.
Okay, good.
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, continue.
Okay.
Perfect.
So yeah, that was my share. I'll pass the baton over to you, Serena.
So, before we get to Serena, real quick, yeah, I like what you said, and you know, it could all be so confusing, right? Because it's
Mm-hmm.
like I think you know what you were saying
Mhm.
earlier on. I had probably had that similar definition. You know, soulmate. You know, you get from the fairy tales. Everybody's looking for their soulmate,
Mm-hmm.
and this is the person I'm going to be with, right, for the rest of my life. And that didn't make sense to me either, right? And I'm like, you know, and I feel like we all have multiple soulmates. I have women
Yes.
friends who are my soulmate, family members as my soulmate, right?
Mhm.
And I was just actually just having this conversation with one of my clients because we were talking about this live that I'm having, and one of the things that she was wondering if you know, she has an adopted son, if her adopted son could be a soulmate, her twin flame, because it really pushed her to go to another level of her evolution and her consciousness, you know. So I had to Google right then and there. I was like, does your twin flame only have to be a romantic partner? And from what I saw online, it said no, right?
No.
And
Yes.
so,
Yes.
yeah, so the twin flame can be anyone and anything, right? And it's interesting. I don't know if any of y'all who's watching know Kateria. Kateria knows. I did do an astrology. I think you know her, Serena. She was in California. She was at that event that I met you at, I believe.
Sure.
Kateria, I think she was there.
She sure, yeah,
Um,
she sure was. Yeah.
she was. So I had a reading done with her. Hi, Alexis. I had a reading done with her, and she had actually said my last relationship was he was my twin flame, and that was really the first time I actually really even heard about it. And she had said that same thing that we have karmic stuff to work on, you
Yes.
know, and we knew each other in multiple past lives. And it was interesting because when I met him, and this was the thing, and I had never felt this with anyone else before, it was an instant connection. Like we knew each other, and it was so intense. So in my mind, I was like, "Oh, he's my soulmate."
Mhm.
And when I was putting pictures up of us, people were like, "Oh my God, that's your soulmate! You guys look like soulmates!" Like everyone was saying, like, you could feel it, you could see it, right? That
It's that
intensity.
thick, that energy is just tangible energy. It's yeah, it's even overpowering, but continue. I've experienced that
Hmm.
multiple times.
It is, and then what Serena, and I want you to go into this what you talked about because you had
Mhm.
typed in my post on Instagram about the 4 to 6 week, and then the running and the chasing, and then when I watched Dr. Harmony talked about that, and I was like, that looks like my relation. That was my relationship. So go ahead, Serena. Go ahead and then and share a little bit of your
Yeah.
perception. You feel like twin flame is soulmate. And again, as people are coming on, say hello. If you have any questions, ask. If you've experienced a twin flame or a soulmate, write it down. We want to connect with you and discuss this as well. Okay, Serena.
So I am not an expert on this topic. However, because because the journey with the twin flame thrust me into a situation where I wasn't even recognizing myself, I started Googling and everything came up as twin flame. I mean, I had been a secure person in my relationships, and I was felt very grounded for a long time. And all of a sudden, with this person, I felt like I was about 15 years old, completely just naked and insecure, and just I had never felt the depth of love romantically, given to me, or the way I felt towards him. And so thank God I found this coach named Kurt Johnson, and he has a group called New World All Star. So I stuck with Kurt for about 2 months of the 10-month journey. And then I ended up with Dr. Harmony. Dr. Harmony is twin flame expert. And they both helped me with exactly what I needed at the time. And both of them share the same understanding of what a twin flame is. And so with them, they said that twin flame is always a romantic partner. There are karmics who teach us about our shadow self, and they're life teachers. And then there's soulmates. And they said the thing with the twin flame is that a twin flame shares the exact identical soul frequency. So it's one soul, two bodies. And that's my understanding. And that's what it feels like, actually, because I've experienced soulmates. Like two of my ex-husband and my legal husband are both soulmates. Then one of my sons is a soulmate. So with soulmates, my understanding is that it can be, like you were saying, pure bliss, it could be a plant, it could be like, your pet, it could be a lot of things. And the soulmate relationship, that is the one where it feels good most of the time. That's the one where, you're on the same page, and, it can be that life partner. The twin flame can also be the life partner. However, the reason why twin flames are meeting is because they meet so that they can trigger each other's awakening, spiritual awakening. So it becomes about, after the love bubble phase, which is about 4 to 6 weeks, then it becomes about going back into your subconscious patterning and healing the trauma wounds and the abandonment wounds, childhood wounds. So I didn't even know that I had one, and I thought I had my awakening before. But what the healing process that I went through before, which was very in depth, which healed 5 mental illnesses that I had when I was a teenager, that was done on a conscious level with my mind. When I met that twin flame, it was like losing control. I had the ego death / the dark night of the soul through that relationship, because when he ran, because he said he was absolutely petrified and having overwhelming thoughts of breaking the relationship because it was so intense, and because we both love each other with no conditions. And so I hadn't experienced that romantically, being loved without conditions, and neither had he romantically. So I was excited about it, because in terms of attachment styles, he has an avoidant attachment style, and I have I had an anxious attachment style, which leans in, like, where are you going? Like, let's work this out. Let's work this out. And he's like, be home. He's like the road runner. Bye, gone. So that running, there's a runner and a chaser also in the twin flame journey. So and I've never chased a man. That was the other difference. I said, what the hell is going on? Because I'm like, I feel way too good about myself to be chasing. But I was begging. I got into begging, pleading. I'm like, I promise I won't hurt you. Girl, I was texting in the middle of the night, like I'm waking up, just juices just dripping all down my leg. I mean, the lust is, it is so intense. So I was just all out of character. But the great thing is about the twin flame is that it causes the running. When the twin flame runner runs, it causes the twin flame chaser to have to find that intense oneness and deep love within. So I thought that I loved myself, but there was still subconsciously, I wasn't loving myself the way that I really would love myself, because my inner child was just kind of laying there dormant, not having had the the love that she really wanted. So it just took me all the way back through my whole childhood, this whole journey. And every time, you know, with the twin flame, it's the wanting and the longing for that twin flame that continually causes the divine feminine, who it's usually the one that's gotten left, the divine feminine, to continue to go inside and to dig and find. It's like being in an escape room. You have to keep finding the clues, like, why isn't he coming back? So the twin flame is a mirror. So you, in looking at the twin flame for the answers, like, what's going on? Why aren't you coming back? His absence, the divine masculine's absence, is what continually reveals the answers. So if that's making sense to you. So I realized through his absence that I wasn't being all the way honest. We're polyamorous people, so I wasn't being all the way honest with my legal husband, that I didn't want to be married to him anymore, but I was just staying married because I didn't want to hurt his feelings, because we are soulmates. So I went, and when I realized, okay, that's one of the reasons that I'm not aligned with soul. So the goal is to align with soul. It's the end game can be that you align with your twin flame again, but the major purpose is to align with soul within, to find that bliss, that unconditional love for yourself, for your inner child and your adult self. So that was one of the things that came into fruition when my twin flame still wasn't coming back. The next thing that I realized is that I had asked in 2018, I had said, Spirit, I want to love with no boundaries. I don't want this, you can't do this, and why are you doing that? I want to just be all the way open, all the way free. And so in 2018, when I prayed that prayer, I met my twin flame, but I didn't know he was my twin flame because he was also married at the time. I wasn't even looking at him like that. However, when I did realize he was my twin flame, that's when I remembered our first encounter. I almost fell over backwards. They say you'll have a strong reaction when you first meet your twin flame. And I remember when he reached over to shake my hand, I almost fell because of the intense masculine energy that came. The souls recognized each other. So anyways, so the twin flame is the mirror, and he's a person that also does not like to be confined or possessed or held on to, possessed, and I realize as open as I am in my relationships and being poly, because of the intense love and passion and oneness and everything being in sync with my twin flame, it was like I had this thirst to hold on to him, and he wasn't having it. So that's what the mirror also showed me. It finally showed me when he wasn't coming back, like, months later. I'm like, oh, I won't let people possess me either. I'm trying to possess this man. On the down low, like there's a part of me still trying to capture him. So that's the thing, that the twin flame, if you find your twin flame, it's not going to be peaches and cream after that love bubble phase. It's going to be dig in and go on through your spiritual awakening and your ascension. And then once you come into harmonizing and balance within yourself, that's when the twin flame can come back. Most of the time, the Kurt Johnson, the All-Star, what is this All-Star? New World All-Star. He says that New World All-Star, most of the time they do come back. He said most of the time. He has like 98% success rate with the twins come back. But sometimes they do not. But the whole goal, the end game, is to align with yourself.
So. And one of the things that I heard with Dr. Harmony is, as far as another end goal, is that it's not just about yourself, but it's also for the collective. And so the twin flame, you're coming in to, do that deep work on yourself and come into harmony, but for the collective, because you're in this, the two souls decided prior to birth, we're going to do this work, and we're going to do this work for the collective, for people to heal.
It's the healing. Yes, we transmute healing through our DNA to our relatives and family members, and even people in close
Mhm.
proximity.
Yes.
So that resonance is, once I heal, I'm healing you as my friend, and I'm healing my relatives, my children, my exes, everyone
Mhm.
that's in my sphere is healing. But in terms, Serena, what you said about your twin flame running, mine actually took a job out of the country to break our
Wow.
connection. It
Wow.
was just that when I tell you, so I'm a IFA practitioner, um, and with my experience with him, and similar to you, I set up prayer. I don't necessarily pray, I affirm and I speak with my higher self. So praying to me is more of petitioning, but I was rather having a conversation with my higher self. And
Mhm.
within 2 weeks, I met him. We met online, and the connection on paper, he was literally everything that I wanted.
Yes.
And
Wow.
perhaps he can say the same. However, I've never met a man who can read my mind. He was whatever
Mm.
he would tell me things, and I was that I'm thinking when we're face to face, that is not on the phone. It was something about what that something alchemized when we were together, something ignited, and he was literally able to read my thoughts. So that spooked me out
Mm.
a few times. I didn't let him know he was reading my thoughts. I
Wow.
just smiled, and I was like, okay. And so, because of that, I then contacted one of my madrinas in Cuba to get a reading. And the reading that came back, it doesn't necessarily say, okay, that's your twin flame or soulmate, but she was like, you all have been together. And I could tell that. I didn't need her to tell me that, but I just was like, why is this man able to read my thoughts? This is
Right.
absolutely
Mm.
at another level. And she was like, oh, it's because you asked for him. She was like, yeah, I don't know what you did, but you are the one who invoked them into your reality. And I was like, okay, it makes sense. And I always attract Shango energy, and
Mm.
he was like Shango in person. And
Mm.
similar, the experiences are so similar. And yeah, I know based on what you said in terms of there's only one twin flame, my understanding is we have multiple twin flames, but it's based on resonance. So once you resonate to another level, once you evolve to another sphere, or sometimes it's lateral transfer in terms of occupying different spaces, then there's a twin flame there, because
Mm.
twin flame, your true twin flame is within yourself. So
Mm.
once you go out
Mm.
to the, outward energy, community energy is male energy. So once we go outward to our counterpart, then that counterpart is based on resonance. That's the only difference that I, based on my understanding and my learning in terms of twin flame. So it's not going to be that one person that's going to return. You will have another twin flame challenge, because as we know, at all levels there's a challenge.
Mm.
We
Mm.
never stop growing.
Woo.
We are here
Mhm.
to evolve.
Mm.
So that same person will not come back probably as your challenge. If he does, then great. Then that means that both of y'all have grown enough and evolved enough to be at that same level and meet again. And perhaps
Mhm.
there's an agreement that we decided before this lifetime. But in general, your twin flame might not also ascend or be able to heal and suture themselves as much as you or me. So therefore, you will meet another one at the level in which you are, or you
Mm.
only descend. Because the thing is, a lot of people are always talking about ascension. The dance with this life is both ascension and descend. We descend and we ascend. We're going up and down that ladder. So, and going down is not necessarily a bad thing either. I just want to put it out there. But yeah, so that's the only
I have a
variation.
question.
Mhm.
Hmm.
Excuse me, Pure Bliss. I have a question because had I not had the foundation that I had prior to meeting my twin flame, this could have taken me out. And I'm grateful that I never wanted to commit suicide. But for the
Mm-hmm.
first time, I understood what could be so bad and so painful that a person wanted to end their life.
Mm.
And so I can't even imagine going through something like this again, because this shit almost dead me. Like I'm talking okay right now because I'm 10 months in, but I'm saying that the level of pain and the
Mm-hmm.
lessons that I needed to learn through this, which was detachment, which was also non-judgment, to come into, like Renee, you like Pandara, you were saying that the end game is to love unconditionally, so
Mm-hmm.
that we can also we are vessels for this new earth to teach
Absolutely.
unconditional love. But pure bliss, where because I want to understand about the resonance, because the way that Dr. Harmony and Kurt said that you have one soul, everybody has one soul within them, and a twin flame is the soul breaks in half, and that is the other, that's the twin flame. You understand what I'm asking? So it's the same, it's the identical soul, but it was split in half. That's my understanding of the twin flame.
Mm-hmm.
Because people don't want to run into this twice.
So you're not going to run into it because you're on another level, and you hopefully you've learned those lessons. So the when
Yes.
someone else come into your sphere, then it's going to be different lessons. It's not, hopefully it's not the same. And unless you have not been able to overcome those divides, and I see it as simply what we are fighting against within are just divided
Mm,
spirit, divided energy within ourselves. So you have overcome
mm,
those. You're not now, hopefully you're on a different unconditional space of love.
mm,
So therefore, when another twin flame comes, it may not be those challenges. It might be just love and to provide this love that you need.
mm,
So a twin
Mhm.
flame is not necessarily a challenge. And maybe perhaps you're looking at it that way because that was your experience, and that's understandable.
mm.
And in terms of the soul and splitting, we come
Yes.
from a cluster of souls. You see, so
Mm-hmm.
you are a soul. Now, within us is all the splitting that take place. We have masculine and feminine energy. So that's all
Mm-hmm.
within you. So that's the variation in the understanding, because they're teaching it from a outward perspective, whereas all of this splitting really is taking place within you. That's the split.
Mm.
That's your feminine and your
Mm.
masculine energy. You see?
Mhm.
So now when you connect with the twin flame, quote unquote, then you are connecting with that person that has that same, I guess we can say the his ascension and or balance of energy is resonating with yours.
Right, because they're
See?
reflection, right? They're
So
like a
it's a
mirror for where
reflection.
you're
So
at.
let's say let's put it in numbers. I'll put it this way. Let's put it in numbers. So let's say, for instance, you have evolved and done the work, and you are 58% ascended on your feminine side. Okay, so that leaves what,
Mm-hmm.
the other percentage for your masculine. So chances are your twin flame is going to come in, and he's going to be that larger percent masculine on the same resonance. So you only have what, 30, 32,
42.
38%, 42%
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
that you have in terms of your masculine energy that you need to develop. So that twin flame is going to have the other 58. You see?
Mm.
And that
I do.
he's here, oh, that he, she, whatever, whatever orientation, they're here to provide that to us. And it's not always a challenge. That's the thing about it. The twin flame, because we are
Mm,
so prone to receiving and viewing things from a pessimistic or negative perspective, because oftentimes evolution and us really being able to blossom, it takes work. And then
Mhm.
that work is the
yeah.
pain. So
Right.
once you have done the work, you remember you always get a reward too. So there's that reward that will come. So no, hopefully you did do the work and you did evolve, and you're at a different resonance in which now your next twin flame is going to be your knight in shining armor. You see?
Baby, I did. I believe me, I did the work. I had 3 ego deaths, and I had the dark night of the soul. So I'm hearing everything you're saying, and so just for clarification, so my understanding is still that there's one twin flame, and there are many soulmates, and there's also ascension teachers. Because I do now. I'm listening to what you're saying, so I still feel like there's one soul, and it's split in half, and that's a twin flame, because the twin flame is specifically to help us go within. The soulmate, I still feel, is the one that the many that were, they're kindred spirits. Those are the feel-good relationships. And then the ascension teachers and the karmics. My understanding is that the karmics are there to help us see our shadow. The twin flame is there to help us deal with our abandonment wounds or our trauma wounds.
Well, those are shadow. Those, you're speaking all in the same, and what it sounds like is that you are really compartmentalizing all of these when they're really all in one. There is no shadow. Those things are shadow. So, and a twin flame can be a soulmate and also a life partner. So it doesn't have to be different individual. Now, that's the male aspect of our psyche. We want to compartmentalize, and we want it to line up, specifically because this one said this and this one said that. So, and it's okay. That's how we evolve. That's how we learn. That's why I said my understanding of what this was at one point in my life has evolved, and it's okay if your school of knowledge says that you have one soul and you split, because that's what happens in the womb. So there's the splitting of the atom. That's what happens. So it's in the womb. Think of it that way. When it literally, the physical and spiritual is the same. When it splits to the zygote splits in the womb, when the sperm goes into the egg and the zygote splits, there's not some other person that's going to reproduce. It's you. It's all you. You are splitting within yourself. And that's my understanding of it. So people are teaching it from an existential, from an outside, from an outward energy, which is the male energy, and that's okay. But now my understanding is also in all of these, it's not to negate one. All of it is true. Because from a physical perspective, you do have resonance. We resonate. The people that we are attracting are those that we resonate with, ultimately. But inward, you are your twin flame. So now outward is going to be that person that's resonating on the same vibration as you.
That makes sense. That makes sense. Exactly how you said it just now makes sense. Because prior to this conversation just now, I was kind of seeing it like Serena. And again, I kind of listened. I was watching Dr. Harmony and these things.
I know what they teach.
And then when I was talking to my client a few minutes ago, I was like thinking, okay, twin, there's two, right? So you're connecting with that twin. It's not triplets or quadruplets, it's twin flame. But that makes sense. And so, and I like how you said it's not to negate one way or another. It's all true. It all makes sense. Because everything is connected. This is part of why I love Tantra, going into Tantra right now. Because Tantra says we're all connected. It too. Everything is connected. Akushanan says, like the teaching, very clarifying. Thank you. Real quick, if you are resonating with any of these stories, let us know. Type yes. I'm resonating. I feel you. I hear you. Makes sense. I've been through this. Type some. Let us know. Let's talk. Let's talk.
And I want an appointment with Pure Bliss.
Right?
I gotta get into this again. Because you know what struck me, what you said. The main thing that struck me, what you said, that something in my soul wants to shift to what you're saying, is when you said male existential.
It is.
And like the whole patriarchy and just like a lot of different, that is what something in my soul just needs to wrap my head around this.
Yeah.
And we have both energies for a reason. So life is really a dance of balance within ourselves. And then once we balance out ourselves, we start resonating on a certain vibration with agreements. So whatever you subscribe to is the agreement that you decide to live by, you see? And what evolution is change in agreement, realizing and becoming into a different awareness. That's what evolution really is. And then we heal ourselves by suturing what? Our womb. And you can go back to healing. And I have to re-heal myself over and over. There's no plateau. Even things that's a misconception that a lot of people don't, have, is that, oh, you've healed from that. No, I go back and I re-heal myself often, because the brain, our psyche, our mental awareness is what we train it to do. So we live every day and we are vibrating and picking up energy. Some of us are empaths and all that. So I constantly do an aura cleanse. And in my aura cleanse, I don't limit it to the here and now, because we are cleansing really the past experiences. And once I shift back to my past, I cleanse that, I re-cleanse it, I clean the house out. Think of it as your home. How you clean the house, and you do all. I don't do it all the time, but I definitely do it often. And how you do a spring cleaning and we used to do. I'm from Panama. We used to do Christmas cleaning. All the walls get painted, and you continuously maintain your temple, your home. Yes. It's the same way I do with my spirit and my healing. Yes. So I continuously maintain that. And then I shift back into my now. And then, okay, the house is clean. I'm good. I'm in my now. And a lot of teachings are also, as I mentioned, they're coming from men and they're dealing with energy from an outward. So all of these are true. And that's the thing. That's the main takeaway. All of these are true, but it's just a different perspective based on the energy that you're dealing with. We are all feminine dominant energy in this chat. So my perspective is from a feminine outlook, the inward. That's what we're doing. And I'm glad that, the male dominant energy are saying that your soulmate is you. You are your first soulmate, twin flame, karmic. We are all that. And you start with you. And, every time we resonate, every time we heal even more, even further, every time we train and get the tools to be able to overcome certain challenges in life, then we are resonating with another vibration. And that twin flame that you experience will come back if he's at the same level as you. When you met, both of you were at the same resonance. And I understand what you went through. I didn't necessarily felt like committing suicide, but I was just flabbergasted. I've seen a lot of different spiritual experiences. And I'm like, okay, I've never met anyone who can literally read my mind. And it's right. He was totally, I wouldn't let him know that, but it was like he was speaking to my soul. Literally speaking to my soul. And I also learned one major thing he taught me is that how to shift from a heart center, being receptive from a heart center, and how just the awareness of where my energy is coming from, and whether it's coming from more of a cognitive, mental sphere. And with him was the first person that I was able to really realize that difference, or even from a wound. Like I knew when I was dealing with him as to somehow these energy centers were heightened. And I know most of our friction came when I operated from a mental sphere. Most of our friction, and him too. But when we were face to face and together, we never argued. We never argued. It was his energy just dominated me, and it's just. I was.
Didn't you love it? I loved it. I was like, yes.
So now let me ask you, Pure Bliss. Let me ask you, because I know with again, I'm no expert either in this. I just had this one experience, and then
That makes you an expert. You have experience. That's
That's
where the
true.
word expert came from.
That's what the word
Experience.
expert comes from.
Yeah.
So, um, so similar. It's been like almost a year, right?
Mhm.
And it's interesting because I can see the similarities and I can see some differences. Like in my particular example, it was also affecting like my abandonment and rejection issues, right? So,
Mine
like
too.
you,
Mine
Karina.
too. Mhm.
Okay, so then I
Yes.
think that is one of the keys that's in it. Because I thought too that I was fine. I had did all this work. I was seeing therapists. I was doing all of this stuff. I did all my tantric meditations, yoga, everything. I'm like, I'm good. And I had never, like you were saying, I had never been one to chase somebody. Never been one to chase. I had an avoided personality. I was the one always doing the running, the leaving, right?
Me too. Me too.
So interesting. So when I met him, it was just very intense. It was like we knew each other. And it was like our first date was like 10 hours long. Like it was like it just flowed so easily. And similar, like when we were just in a flow, we were in a flow. There was no arguing. But he would trigger me and he would trigger me. And I, tried to have the conversation. I'm like, look, when you do this, this is how I'm feeling. It's bringing up abandonment issues. It's bringing up rejection issues. And I'm like really open and honest and communicating. And he would do the same thing. So I was the one who ended, right? I was the one who ended. But then I felt like, what did I just do? Like,
You
I
second
just
guessing.
yeah, I was second guessing, but not that was I second guessing. I felt like I split off or I cut off a piece of me.
Yes.
And it was just like, oh wait, what did I just do? So now I try to go back and he's like, no. So now he's running and I'm chasing.
There
But
we
the
go.
interesting thing in this is, and then at some point he's like, okay, he's come after me and I run.
Yep,
And
there
then
it
I go
goes.
back. So ours was kind of different in that sense where that running and chasing would go back and forth. But we were both like triggering each other and both very much a reflection of the other. And most recently, like 3 weeks ago, I ended it. Because I'm like, this is not healthy. I need to go in and do the work on myself. And as I had said on that live that you saw, because I love myself and because I love him, I had to break this off to do the work, to go with him. And that sparked me to do my 10-day detox and then my 2-day silent retreat. And I got so much downloads. I did so much work. And so I feel I'm in a better place. And I know that I've evolved. And I could feel that energy. My energy shifted. And I could feel that right away.
Thank
Now,
God.
whether we're together or not, I don't know. I don't know what he's doing. I don't know. So I don't know. But I do know that when Dr. Harmony talked about it's about the work of the collective. And I noticed how this sparked me to even get more energy, to put my energy after I did this work. Now I'm sharing, and people are like, oh my God, I relate. And people are connecting. And in this group that I just created, Sacred Sexual Healing Coven, like people are just joining because they need this right now. And it's not just talking about the twin flame, but it's all of this energy. They feel the work that I'm doing, and they're becoming attracted. They're getting attracted to work with me now. And so now I'm helping more people at another level. And so it is really beyond me, right? I'm doing that work, but it is about the collective. And like you said, Pure Bliss, as I heal, I'm helping the people around me heal. The past generation, the future generation.
Yes.
That's so true. Like I'm just both of you guys are actually helping me to understand the divine masculine, because you guys are saying things that he used to say and do. So I'm understanding even more now, because this is really something else, to peel back so many layers of the self, So when we ask to ascend and we set that intention, that's it. It's already been said. It's been spoken.
Yeah, there's no turning around. And like you, Pure Bliss, I had asked for it too. I asked for it. And you know, my ancestors kept saying to me, Renee, Prandar, we ready for you to step up. Like, we're ready for you. Like, we're not
Mhm.
waiting anymore. And so
Yes.
I was like, I said to my ancestors, okay, I'm ready. So what happened? They brought me this. And I'm thankful. And I
Yes.
thank them. And I thank my ex as well. I'm like, I'm so thankful that he came in for me to evolve and go to the next level.
I'm so thankful too. And I'm glad that, yes, you guys are reminding me that I did do this level of work, because now I don't ever want a monogamous relationship again, because for my journey, it boxes me in and it causes me to think of possession and mine versus the openness of sharing and love, like what love really is. And that's another thing. Like, I don't know if this happened with you guys, but I had thought I was in love before, but I was in attachment, and I was in caring, and I was in affection, but I had never been in love until this twin flame, because I literally, no matter what he does, there's love. I don't take back a little, like, oh, you did this, so then I love you a little less. Oh, that, oh no, definitely not. With all my previous mates, it would get to the point where I don't love you anymore. But with him, it continues to grow, even though we haven't been together in 2 months. It continues to grow because we also, with the twin flame, you talk in the 5D, in the fifth dimension. So a lot of things, like, there were things that I was upset with him about, and I would have a dream. And when I would wake up, I would understand what he was talking about, and I would understand what he was feeling. And it caused me to empathize with him and not be upset at him at all, because I had become his energy field in the fifth dimension. And so that happened twice, because the two things I was actually angry about were like two of the times that we split, because it was like, the push pull. And I was able to understand him, and also able to understand what he meant when he was saying, he's not going to deal with regressive behaviors. I wasn't even seeing myself clearly until my mirror reflection came to me, like no other relationship, because he had the level of masculine energy that I needed in order to heal my sacral chakra, which was out of balance, because my masculine energy from the trauma wound, the father wound, the abandonment was out. That was what was causing me to be out of balance. So once he plugged into me, it just balanced that out. And, like, that song, Natural Woman, you make me
Mm-hmm.
feel like a natural woman. I was like, oh, that's what she was talking about. Because, baby, I was like, ooh, I have never felt so feminine in my life.
Yes. So
Never.
we got a question here and a comment. Let's go to Celeste Butler first. She says, Goddess says, this is all new to me. Met Twin Flame last year, and it makes me nervous because it's so unfamiliar.
Mm. Breathe. Breathe and follow at Siri Rishi, SIRISISHI, Siri Rishi. She's a Kundalini yoga teacher. And I never gave up my practice during the uprooting of my ego, the total, complete shattering of my ego,
Mm-hmm.
where I thought I was transparent and authentic before the ego death, before the dark night of the soul. But after that happened, it was literally like I had no separation. No one feels like a stranger now. It's like everybody, I just feel like I know everybody now. And
Mhm.
but through that Kundalini yoga practice, I also had a Kundalini awakening, where my
Mm-hmm.
arm was moving by itself in the middle of the night, and I thought someone had gotten to bed, and it was my arm awakening. All this awakening happened. So it's really important to have a breathing practice.
Mm-hmm.
If you get to the point, because Pure Bliss, you sound like you might have had, like, you've been here so many times and ascended so many times that you may have already been to a certain level where it didn't feel like suicide. Because I know that one group where I was in with New World All Star, like almost all of the people, they would sit for months and just be like They
Let
were gone.
let me tell you what I told my partner at the time, my twin
Mm.
flame. I told him, I said, I know you have driven a few women crazy.
Ah.
Yeah, but yeah, essentially he definitely there's still similar energy, but it's just a matter of how we decide to manifest it. So
Mm.
it's all about how I receive and how I manifest it back. But absolutely, it's similar energy. It's definitely similar energy because we're releasing, we are catalyzing all of these things. We're unlocking essentially dormant.
Mm.
We are
Right.
unlocking the and sending to love all our undeveloped areas of our aura of
Mm.
within our energy centers. So that is really what's going on, and depending on how rooted you are, then it is how it affects you. I
Mm.
was too busy to contemplate that. But another thing that
Mm.
really stood out that you mentioned, Serena, was the sexual aspect of
Yeah.
it. That man, like, it's still today. I was like, okay, I I hope I don't want him to come around anymore because
Listen.
Mm.
the desire is
Mhm.
insatiable.
Yeah.
Talking
It
Insatiable.
about
really is.
the
It really is.
climax is
Oh my God. I'm just like the amount of lust and sexual energy. But
I've
I
never
want
lusted, behind someone.
me neither.
I
Oh my
didn't chase anyone, but I've never lusted behind someone like I did him.
Listen,
Mm.
Oh my
homeboy,
God.
he would just come over here. He come over and I get wet. I,
Yes.
I just he'd call and I get wet. I told him I was like, listen, you cannot call me. And I was like, I need a break. I need to like cut these cords, okay? And he's like, but we could just be friends. We could talk. No, no. Because you just saying hi, I'm getting wet. And I'm like, oh.
That's right. This is
But
the first time I didn't.
let me
This is
say
the
something
first
to
time I
that.
didn't need foreplay. Like
Right.
he's the only man that he woke me up day and night. So like from
Girl.
every time he'd fly me in, we would make love day and night. And I would tell him, wake me up. Like just one night we didn't do it. He was like, we were upset about something, but I said, you can wake me up. My other husbands and my other partners, they knew you could get hurt if you wake me up. But this one, I was like, wake me up. I was like, wake me up, please. I was like, when I joined the group with New World All Star, he said, you guys are addicts. He said, what you want to do, he said, when you get reintroduced to your twin flame, you need a thimble. He said, you need a thimble full of your twin flame. Like he said, you want to
Right.
just sip. Just sip. He said, but what you guys want to do is you want.
Like adult.
And that's what I told my twin flame. I said, I texted him one night and I was like, I had this dream that you were on top of me and you were making love to me. And then you were fucking me. And then you took it out and you put it in my mouth. And I drank and drank and drank. And I was like, girl, I'm telling you, like he probably said I boosted his self-esteem like all the way because he was going through a huge problem. I'm like, I boosted his self-esteem. He didn't even need no more self-esteem by the time I was finished. I was like,
Right.
you are a god, you are a king. I was a fucking mess.
Let me say something else in relation to Celeste, and then we got a question
Mhm.
from a Facebook user. But we can't see the name. I don't know if it's still Chinzia or someone else who wrote that question, but what I want to say to Celeste, and I know it makes you not nervous because it's unfamiliar. Like we've all had that first twin flame experience, but I think hope if this helps, knowing that you chose to do this at this time in your life to
Mm.
ascend and just
Yes.
trust in the process, trust in yourself, and right now do the work to heal yourself. And that was one of the things that Kateria told me when I had that reading done a year ago, last August. She was like, you got to do that healing. You got to focus on yourself. And that was me going in and doing that self love, reparenting yet again.
Yes,
I thought I
yes.
did it enough, but apparently I needed to do some more to
Hmm.
my inner child. And I would talk to my inner child. I would look at myself. I would self explore and connect, just really taking care of myself. I started
Self,
going to
yeah.
the sauna. I was going to the sauna once a week, getting my massages, and just taking care of me.
Hmm.
And
I
that's
agree.
and that's one of the things that's important for you to do right now. And there's a question here, and this is a good question. How can you distinguish between twin flame versus toxic relationship?
Ah, I know that my twin flame was healing from covert narcissism. So I think that the inner self, the inner wisdom also is the guide to help you understand what's going on, because there's no like blanket answer cut and dry for every person. It's like your spirit will tell you
Yeah.
what is what. Because
Mm-hmm.
it got to the point where it was so much information. I just had to reel it back in and trust that, wait a minute, I knew what I was doing before this twin flame. Now I'm not acting like Boo Boo the Fool. Like I don't, I didn't have a spiritual journey for 35 years before I met this man. So just trusting yourself. But like you were saying, Pandara, that I had a picture of my inner child, and my playful self was always, she never went anywhere, but it was the one who didn't feel worthy or good enough. That was the one who was waiting for attention that my twin flame initially gave me during the love bubble phase. Everything I ever dreamt of in a family was in that twin flame relationship. So it was so good when that I thanked him throughout the process of the separation, because he caused me to go back in. He provided everything I could ever dream of. This man he thinks beyond into our infinite potential. And I finally felt like I found the person who thinks like me, like, oh my goodness, the male version of myself. And so having everything I ever wanted and more, then for it to be like snatched away, that is what triggered me to go back and deal with the abandonment wound, to find it, to even realize that I had it, why this was so devastating for him to leave. So that part of when you said to divinely reparent ourselves, that is so crucial. And as far as the toxicity, Quora. I learned about narcissism through Quora.
Mhm.
Quora. It's an online site, and they talk a lot about malignant narcissists and covert narcissists, and to know, what you're working with, and the mate that you've chosen or whoever you're talking about.
Mm-hmm. Pure Bliss, you wanna say something towards that? How can you distinguish between twin flame versus toxic relationship?
Well, I think Serena covered it really well,
Mhm.
because there is no textbook definition at all. There is no, we can't tell you that. That's really intuitively. You will have to go in within yourself and listen to your higher self,
Mm-hmm.
listen to your heart. And so know that toxicity is also teaching you. So
Mm-hmm.
that may not be your twin flame, it could be a soulmate, it could be a life mate. I don't know, but go within yourself. If you're not meditating, start a
Mm-hmm.
meditation regime and
Yes.
just really sit down and listen to yourself. Once you connect within you, you will start getting answers. Things will
Mhm.
become much more transparent.
Yes. So true. So true. And I want to say, um, there were points in time where I was wondering with mine whether this was being toxic or
Mhm.
not. So I think that's kind of a normal feeling, wanting to know whether this is toxic. And I kept saying, maybe this is toxic. This going back and forth. But then
Mhm.
when I went in and I looked, I was like, it's actually pushing me to do better. And even when we were together, he was pushing me to do better. Like, because he's a capoeira teacher, he was getting me to work out, like he was getting me to be active, and I started doing capoeira. So even though we were triggering each other and having these things, he was still helping me to be a better person, if that makes sense. And I was also helping him to be a better person. I introduced Tantra to him. He's learned so many different breathing techniques. We did Hape together. I did so many things to get him to go even deeper. So, so we were still helping each other. And then at the same time, it would be like this triggering that was like really making us be able to look within even deeper to say, there's still some more work that needs to be done.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
And I think too, if I may piggyback off what you said, Renee, the label and the whole notion of toxicity, that's something more nuanced. It came up recently. And essentially, that's also from my perspective, many of us use it as a tool when we have avoidant personality. If I don't want to develop whatever it is that situation is calling for my development, I'm going to label it toxic.
Right.
But we
Mm.
forget that venom also cures.
Yes.
So we all need a certain level of, and I'm not saying toxicity in the form of negative, I try not to label things negative or positive in terms of white and black, God, devil type of that resonance. I see negative and positive in terms of energy and whether it's feminine or masculine. And us feminine, we have negative energy. And negative energy is just inwards. That's it. The inwards energy, what's going on within you, within your feelings, within your thoughts. And you need one in order for the other to exist. No one exists with solely one type of energy. So based on that, once you're connected intuitively, and we're going back to that relationship that you're having with yourself, and once you're connected intuitively within you, you will get all the answers. We have too many energy centers that's connected to the divine, and so all of this will be revealed onto you. And if you don't have it right then, ask yourself for it. Make a petition to your higher self. Please let me see the things that I'm not seeing. Please let me know what type of relationship this is.
Yes.
Please let me, higher self, reveal to me the things that I need to grow on in order to become the best version of myself. That is a conversation that I have often with my higher self. And based on that, it's going to be revealed to you. Trust me. I've gone through it many times. Sometimes that's why I'm very careful what I ask for.
Right?
That's what they
Gotta be
say.
very careful and very specific.
Yes.
What do we say, guys, that's on here? If you want to continue having more of this conversation, I created a community, Sacred Sexual Healing Coven. This is the website on there. You can join me. It is a free community with just like-minded people where we're talking and sharing about just anything that has to do with sexuality, challenges, and what you're going through. And it's a community where we can support each other and we can talk. And it's just a great place to be empowered as
Love it.
sexual beings. So join us there.
Yes.
So, man, listen, this conversation is so good. Like it could keep going on and on and on and on.
Can it?
So I don't know if there's anything you guys want to say to end off with. If there's something else that comes to mind that you want to share.
Yeah, I do. I wanted to comment about what Pure Bliss, what you just said, because from my generation, we worked through things.
Exactly.
When trouble came up, it wasn't like, "Oh, you toxic." So I was wondering. So that's like that's part of the vernacular now of the younger generation. I'm like, so when did that become toxic? We have good days,
yeah.
we have bad days, we have triggers, we have all kinds of things that create a not so feel good environment sometimes. But it wasn't like you just throw the baby out with the bathwater because of a situation. So it's a lot of working with ourselves and working with other people and just continuing to like work on things, because there are cutoff points, if things become physically violent, or if there's codependency
Mhm.
enabling that comes
Abuse,
up,
verbal
because
abuse.
I was starting to border on codependency. I didn't realize it because I was just saying, hey, he's going through something. I'm going to give him space, hold space for him to express himself, because I knew I was strong enough not to think that I was the problem. This is his stuff. I can, it wasn't going to break me to let him, fly off the handle and be cussing. And, I didn't feel like he was personalizing it to me, per se. But we have to, like, the commandment of our ancestors is know thyself. Now, like, through this dark night of the soul and this whole twin flame journey, I really understand why that's the first command of our ancient ancestors: know thyself, because there
Absolutely.
is nothing
Can I
cut and dry in this
can I ask
ascension.
you? Can I actually ask you what is the dark night of the soul? Because I know you said that before, and I hadn't heard that term. So again, this is still
Yes.
new because I'm still recently just getting out of this twin flame, so I'm learning more. But what is that when you say that?
So I had heard of the dark night of the soul through a lot of new thought readings, and I just thought it was the healing process that I went through before, when it was like I was at my most vulnerable, most sad, grievous time, where internally I was purging a lot of pain from my past, and, healing and rising into my higher self. That's what I thought the dark night of the soul was. But my understanding now, and what it actually felt like through my twin flame coaches, is it's a shattering of the ego.
Mm.
It's a realization that we are not just head knowledge, but it's knowing with our soul that we are soul, and becoming very aware that we are, spiritual beings having a human experience, and seeing, it was becoming like crystal clear about my behaviors. That's what it highlighted for me, about how many behaviors I had that were egoic, and like all of these control, like when I came out of the dark night of the soul. So it's like it was, for me, it was a 2 month heavy duty grieving process, where I was crying throughout the day, every day, for a good 2 months. And when I came out of it, I didn't have the same control dramas that I had before, that you can't, you don't, what are you doing, being possessive. All of us, like, I loved with no conditions after that. I came out literally a different person. So I, like, for example, I don't believe in, as a relationship goes on, if the man I'm with falls in love, or, with his coworker, or his somebody on one of his sports teams, or at the gym, or wherever, wherever people, get into these connections. I My man would never have to hide that from me. This is not me before the dark night of the soul. This is me after the dark night of the soul, because love is expanded. Love is the creator, the most high. It's a creative energy. It lifts up, it's positive, it heals, it's nurturing, it's peace. And so for me, I would never want to block another person who I love from experiencing that, whatever that connection is. I would never want to block a person from experiencing that. So for me, the dark night of the soul was it was like I was literally dying. My son's girlfriend was here when my twin flame breaking up with me is what triggered it, over a karmic relationship he was having, that he was calling a business relationship. I was so insulted, angry, and hurt. And when he saw that I was breaking up with him, when I said, go ahead, I said, as a matter of fact, and I said all kind of vulgar and offensive things to him, and he knew I was breaking up, so he hurried up and broke up. But when he said, I don't want to be with you anymore, the whole phone went silent, because it was like he couldn't believe he said that, because he was the one afraid to break the relationship. So he had to go into therapy, because Renee, remember you said it was like a cut and you broke up, but it was like you cut something out of yourself. So when
Yeah.
he did that, we both could feel in that moment, like, what did he just do?
Hmm.
It was like, it wasn't even real. Like, he didn't want to do it, but he actually did it. And it was the best thing he could have done for both of us, because we were both attached to this relationship not breaking.
Mm-hmm.
And so coming out of the dark night of the soul, well, back to what I was saying, my son's girlfriend actually saw me as it was literally beginning to happen. And she said, Mama, Mama, Mama. She thought I was dying. She said, she said, right before her eyes, it looked like I was dying. Like I had
Wow.
turned 100 years old right in front of her. And that's what it felt like. I felt like I was dying just as the relationship had ended.
Yeah.
So
That's
what
how
had died was my ego. Like
Mm.
that broke my ego. Like, you chose her over me. Like, how dare you choose me? Like, it was like this thing, like, how dare you? I'm your twin flame and you're looking at me like I'm an option. So it was my ego that died in that moment.
Wow.
And then when I came out of all the grieving, and remember I was saying, I think I was commenting about something you had said, Pure Bliss, when I had the dreams, and I could understand exactly why he did and said what he did, because his energy came into me during the 5D in the fifth dimension of the dreams, where I came out of it not even upset with him, which expanded the unconditional love that I already had for him, but it also expanded the love that I knew I needed to get to for his karmic relationship as well, to not feel like there was a competition or a, choosing or her over me, but we're all one. So, so for me, that was the best thing that happened, was that the unconditional love piece. And that's the purpose of the twin flames, to spread unconditional love to the planet during the age of Aquarius. So I'm just grateful that people can do what they want now. I mean, I had all my little boxes and all my little, remember, you said I wanted to compartmentalize,
Mhm.
but as you continued to talk, there was something in what you said that triggered my soul to expand beyond the understanding that I had, Pure Bliss.
That's
Beautiful.
beautiful.
So beautiful.
Yes.
That's
So
beautiful.
my ego wants to compartmentalize, but my soul wants to expand. So there won't be any more
Mm-hmm.
mine. It's about sharing
Mm-hmm.
and allowing people to experience life through the different teachers that are going to come, the
Right.
ascension teachers. They're not always there. Sometimes they're going to be romantic, because we get deeper when it's romantic.
Mm-hmm.
And just to share, my man will never have to have a side chick. I'm like, baby, come in, girl, can you do my hair? We're gonna find some oneness in this, so we can just be one big happy family.
Mm-hmm. This is so beautiful. It was supposed to be the three of us tonight, right? Like
Mm.
it was interesting because I reached out to Pure Bliss first because I saw her comment. And then I think it was the next day I saw your comment. I was like, oh, I gotta have you on there too. And I was like, different ones. I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna bring them both on together at the same time. Have
Oh,
the
maybe
comment.
we're sister wives.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
We have
love the sister wives.
But it was great to have all three.
Yes.
And it so I have I have one last question, and then Pure Bliss, if you want to end with anything, if there's something you want to say. Oh, somebody just asked a question. How are you guys on time? I don't. It's a lot later here for me, and I do want to kind of wrap it up. But are you guys okay to take another question or
Oh,
whatever?
yeah.
yes, go ahead. Mhm.
Okay. Um, I actually have a question, and there's a thing here, but my question could probably be whatever. What's the difference between ego and being vigilant and making sure that person isn't skilled enough to take control over you, mind manipulating or mind control? That's interesting.
Mm.
So it's so funny because my thoughts were literally, thank you, I can read it now. My
Okay.
thoughts were literally on the ego, because I have to say this: the ego has received a bad rap.
Right.
From church saying it's edging out God, which there is some validity to it. However, I'm redefining ego right now. And it's
Mm.
a process. Everything in life is a process.
Mm-hmm.
So think of it this way: ego is really a protector.
Yes.
Okay, we have vilified. When I say we, it's because we are all agreed to that agreement that ego was supposed to be shattered, and I'm glad that Celeste asked that question, because I literally wanted to talk about ego. So think of ego as your protector. What has happened with our ego is that, the word guard, ego, is our guard. We have, because everybody is, we get, as we go through life from very young, we start get we start subscribing to different doctrines.
Right.
So we get conditioned. And when we have an
Mhm.
experience, then the ego is what we do, we save it, because we always either try to protect ourselves in order to survive. So the ego, we start adding to our ego baggage. Think of it as baggages. Okay.
Mhm.
So you start adding, and you have little pockets in your ego, in yourself, which essentially that's what ego is. The self, a part of yourself. So you start adding, okay, if somebody talks to me this way, I'm going to protect myself this way. I'm going to either, ignore them, or I'm going to yell, whatever type of problem resolution that you learn throughout the years. So that's how we start building our ego. And so then we get to a certain point in our lives, and then the ego is overweight. We become egocentric, because
Mhm.
now that's the only way that we react when someone comes, say something that we don't like, or do something, rather than reacting from the heart. So the ego is protecting the heart, and that's the purpose of it. We cannot exist in this reality without ego. The thing is that our ego has been, we have just accumulated so much baggage
Mhm.
from emotions, from environment, and the ego is just overwhelmed. So now when we're healing, we are also unloading and unpacking, and simply just peeling away the layers that we base, either your parents, because all these conditionings come from our, first our family, then our culture, our community. So all these conditionings that all these agreements, essentially, that's what I'm talking about when I say conditionings. So all those agreements that we subscribe to starts
Mhm.
overpowering the ego, and the ego is just protecting us. So now I know, as a Black person, I know we're talking about relationship, but this is just to expand the definition of how the ego function. So as a Black person, you know that if you walk into an all white movie theater, you know your ego is going to defend you. You're
Mhm.
going to do things to protect yourself. So that's
Mhm.
what ego is. Now once we unpack, and that they're teaching us to shatter our ego. What we really need to do is to take away the layers and
Mhm.
expose our ego. We definitely, you can navigate life also without having boundaries. So
Mhm.
there's a difference between boundaries and barriers. So boundaries, you have fluidity. You're still functioning, and you're still engaging with others. Where when you have barriers, and that's what we have attached to our ego in most cases, we have given it barriers, protective barriers. Oh, let shield me from this, shield me from that, shield me from the other. Whereas barriers is going to leave out already what's not good for you,
Mhm.
because you're functioning now with your divine self. So once you start understanding your barriers, the things that you need to flourish, this is all coming back to self. Okay, you understand, you went through all these karmic relationships, so you're ready for the next level, and now you know what are your thresholds, and you know your barriers. So 9 times out of 10, once you have experienced all these experiences, you automatically, your higher self is not going to resonate with lower vibration. So
Mhm.
chances are it's going to be bringing to you only those that have resonated into the level in which you exist in our environment. So yeah, I hope that answers your question. So essentially, yes, don't necessarily let anyone in your space because you're healed. No, you have to have your own. Remember, there's a difference between barriers and also blockage. So you definitely have your boundaries and your barriers. So keep your boundaries. Don't just know your higher self is protecting you regardless, and have those conversations in terms of you want to stay fluid. So have your boundaries. Boundaries have fluidity. Someone moves your boundaries, you're like, oh, wait a minute, you're penetrating. That's not
Mhm.
something that I agree with. That's not within your agreement. Rather than avoiding, there's a difference. You're communicating now, and communication is still connection. So you're
Yeah.
still connecting with that person, and you are letting them know what you need. And also then once you move on, then you move on and resonate in a new space. And that's what this as we navigate life, remember, we are moving, we are navigating.
Mhm.
And through navigation, that's what relationships are. So yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. My God. This was good. I really love that. Like, I love your answer. I don't have anything to add on. It's rare that I'm speechless. Wow. Wow. This was really good. This is really good. I don't know what happened to Serena. She kind of dropped off somehow. So I don't know, something happened with her internet, probably.
Yes.
So, oh my God, thank you so much for coming on, Annette. Like this was
Thank you. Thank you for
really,
having me. You're welcome.
yeah, thank you, thank you, thank you.
We needed this.
We really did, we really did. And I think this was healing for all three of us, right?
Yes.
And those who watched, whether they asked a question or not. I know there were a lot of people here. Crucian Lamb says, thank you. Oh, here, Serena came back on.
Yeah.
Um,
Hey.
Hey, I missed that last part of what you were saying. My phone lost charge, but I'm so glad that Pure Bliss that you said what you said. Last part I heard about ego. So Pandara, remember you had a comment about what exactly is the dark night of the soul?
yeah.
So Pure Bliss, you helped me to understand exactly what happened as you were talking. So the part of my ego that got shattered was the part that was the armor around my heart that was blocking me from allowing this man to really love me the way that just completely open. And so that's what happened. There was a big difference between the way I communicated with him prior to the breakup. I was tiptoeing around because I didn't want him to leave. And that's
It's,
not
you know
me.
what's so
I
funny? I literally mentioned that we avoid. We start when we have blockers, we start avoiding. But once you start putting in just your simple um barriers, then you communicate. You use
Mhm,
communication to navigate through your feelings rather than avoiding. So
mhm,
yeah,
yeah.
that I ended with that. So
mhm.
it seemed like you
So
experienced it. I
Yeah,
experienced it too.
I did
I'm
too.
speaking from experience.
Mhm,
I used to avoid a lot, a lot.
mhm.
Okay, I don't want to talk about it, or just have
Right.
that disconnect. And now let's talk about it. Let me
Yeah, and
hear
I
what you
think
have to
I
say.
think that's the big thing that the
Mhm.
twin flame comes in. So it makes me wonder: do twin flames come in with people who have avoidant personality and abandonment issues, or can it be any type of person?
I don't know. I wasn't avoidant. I was always very
Okay.
outspoken prior to the twin flame. But after the love bubble phase, when I saw that almost everything, my natural way of speaking, which we would talk for hours and hours, I was beginning to trigger him because he had fallen so much more in love and he was afraid. He was avoidant. So
Mm,
I became anxious about what I would say because I didn't want to upset him. And that was never my personality with a man before. I was like, you can leave, you can do whatever you want. I had that kind of attitude prior to this alpha twin flame
mm.
because he was like, I know how you talk to other men, but that's not how you're going to be talking to me. So I became feminine for the first time because it wasn't that I couldn't say what I wanted to say. I had to learn a way that was respectful to a man. And that's what happened after the dark night of the soul. I integrated my usual outspoken personality with respect when I didn't like something, or when there was something that hurt me. He's very intellectual, so he would say, use your words. This texting, I had gotten very regressive with him in my behaviors, because he had triggered my subconscious and my inner child, not the person, not my ego per se, or my conscious mind, the one that thought she had everything together. By the time he was not abusive, but by the time he finished bringing myself to my attention with his mirror, I was like, who am I? Like, what did I really heal all those other times? Because it's like, I don't have shit together now. I just, I didn't know if I was coming or going. But then I finally, when the longer he was away, because we did get back together in April, that's when we both had changed, and I could see we both had done a lot of healing. And I wasn't triggering him the way I did before, and he would explain. If I did trigger him, he would explain. He would say, this is why I behaved this way. Whereas before, he would just blow up during the trigger stage. But yeah, so the twin flame, it definitely, after the love bubble phase, there's the love bubble phase, then there's the separation, and that's when there's a runner and a chaser. That is clearly, that's something across the board that I hear is an aspect of the twin flame journey, that once the love bubble phase, where this is like the most incredible thing, where people mistake it for soulmates, that's when the triggering happens. If there's no runner and a chaser, then it's not twin flames.
Oh, really?
There's always that in the twin flame journey, is what I understand. If there's no runner and chaser, then there must be a karmic or an ascension teacher. But soulmates, I hear, they just get along.
I know.
Those are those
ones. I saw Dr. Harmony. She said there was 3 phases. So what you said, the bubble phase, and then the runner
love
chaser,
bubble, the separation, and the reunion, when both the masculine, divine feminine have done their healing work, and their, what's that word you use, pure bliss, catalyzing?
To catalyze.
Well, harmonize, where we harmonize within and we balance. Remember, you were saying that the true twin flame is really us, ourselves. And when we balance within our own divine feminine, divine masculine, that is when the reunion stage often happens. According to Kurt Johnson, he says that 98% of his twin flames, they come back into union with each other. So yeah, like mine is getting married. So I don't know what, you never know what can happen in life, because I am I'm polygamous. My current marriage, I didn't want to be married anymore because we were polygamous, and the monogamy got to be too much, because he's the polygamous one. So I like women as sisters. So that always works for me. But he wanted to be just monogamous, and that's where it went down a slippery slope. That's when I realized, no, what love is for me is expansion. So that leaves room for the group marriage.
Yeah. So listen, this was so good. We might have to do a part 2 because we could keep going. I mean, this has been really good. It's been really good. Again, I want to thank both of you for coming on. And the energy was great. Like, I learned so much, and I know we all learned so much, and there's still so much like I could even ask and just want to talk about. But yeah,
Renee, before we leave, I want to talk about the Dark Night of the Soul just a little. It's not going to be long. My understanding, I've also gone through the process. We all do in different, based on different situations. But the Dark Night of the Soul is essentially within, when we discover the undeveloped aspects of within ourselves. And then it's the last period in which that energy is going to remain hidden. So
Say that again.
awareness.
Wow.
So the dark night of the soul, the
Mm.
soul, what we develop in are literally hidden aspects of ourselves, right?
Mm.
Hidden meaning that you could have covered it up. We decided to just not deal with that emotion, and therefore we started adding and hiding it.
Okay.
So think of it that way. You hid something in a corner and you just realize it's there. And now that's been in that corner. It could be 10 years, however long. It's your house, our body, our home. So you finally discover that one thing you hid in that corner when you were 10 years old. And as you have identified it, awareness, we become aware of that emotion that has been hidden. And now you are about to expose that emotion. So you go through a process in which it's almost like a cognitive dissonance to, oh wow, I didn't realize it was there, but it couldn't have been there because I know I'm healed. And whatever situation that you go through and the processes that we go through is different. But nevertheless, the dark night is the last period in which that emotion or that energy is going to remain hidden, because now
Mhm.
it's going to come to light. It's coming to light.
Yes.
Because you're aware that it's sitting over there, festering, and it's probably rotten and smelling and just producing toxicity within us. So now you're going to send that to light in
That's
order
what
to
happened.
Mhm.
and that's my I
It.
wanted to expand on the definition of the dark night. So you're exposing and bringing to light all those undeveloped energy, all the fear, all the shame, all the
Yes.
resentment. When I talk about undeveloped energy, let me speak it in these terms. All these energies that you have had hidden, whether it's the fact that you didn't love yourself enough, or we're protecting you, you're protecting your heart, all these different energies that has been you've had hidden. Now once you realize that it's there, and you are going to expose it to your higher self, think of it that way. You're exposing it to your higher self, meaning to light, because it's no longer going to fester within your heart or within your womb or wherever the energy is, within your mind, within your cognition. Now you're going to expose it to light. And within that period of your awareness and the energy and transference of energy, in order to catalyze it, that is the dark night. That is the dark period. So that energy is, you're aware of it, and now you're going to transmute it to light. Does it make sense?
That makes so
I
much
hope I
sense.
didn't get too
That's
technical.
exactly what happened.
That
It
makes sense.
exposed the abandonment wound that I had
Mhm.
that was so
Yes.
painful.
too.
I couldn't even process it when I was 8 years old, when it first happened, when my parents divorced. So that
Mhm.
is what didn't ever get healed and expressed. And that's what came
Yes.
out. Exactly what you said. Like, I'm like, where did that come from? I didn't even know that was there.
Yes.
Mhm.
My
It was
adult
hidden.
self had taken
Yeah.
over. So my adult self was being confident, and my adult self had all of these higher ways of expressing itself. But that
You don't.
baby girl was still over there in the corner who
Mhm.
had all
Yeah.
these fears. Like, why am I afraid of this man? Of
It was
everything?
hidden, remember? It was
Yeah.
Yeah.
hidden behind the ego, behind
Yeah.
your ego. You had it well protected. And that's what the
Girl,
ego does. The ego was guarding it. Was
Mhm.
guarding that aspect, that undeveloped aspect of yourself. The ego was guarding it. And
so I
so
have a question.
we test our ego out to do
I have a
many
question, Pure
functions.
Bliss, because one of the aspects of the twin flame journey is
Oh, I think she
I guess you
froze.
froze.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
maybe part two. We'll continue.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah. Wait.
okay. One of the
Okay.
aspects of the twin flame journey is that it when the divine masculine runs, it will trigger the dark night of the soul. But I didn't make it happen. This was part of the agreement in the unseen realm that took place as part of my ascension process. But other people, how do other people have a dark night of the soul so that they can uncover these trauma wounds, or whatever the ego is hidden? Because I didn't make it happen consciously, it happened. But how can other people accelerate their healing with the trauma wounds through this?
That's a great question. I was actually thinking of asking that same question.
That's a lot. There's no clear cut to it, so I think we're going to have to shelve that for next time.
Okay.
Because I sorry, but
maybe you could do a live.
No, that's okay. I'll do it through Renee. Whenever Renee invites me back. Yeah.
Can we do another one, Renee?
Yeah, we can plan it. We can plan another one. This was great.
Yeah.
We do a part 2. Yeah, I would love that. And I think everyone else would too. Type yes if you want to do a part 2. Type yes in the comments. Type part 2. Let us know. All right. Yeah, we've been on an hour and 40 minutes. Can you believe that? Oh my God, this is the longest live I've ever done. Or that I've done in a while. But yes, thank you, ladies, so much.
Thank you.
I don't know if there's anything you want to share to say goodbye. If you want to say
How do we
goodbye.
join that community? How do we join that community that you mentioned? I don't see it now, but I definitely. Oh, there it is. Join Sacred
Sexual Healing Coven. It's in my bio. It's on Instagram. It's all over. It's on Instagram. It's here on if you go to my website. No, I didn't put it on my website yet. I gotta put it on my website. So, but it's on my bio on Instagram. Yeah. All right. So Angie said yes. Part 2, please. Oh, yep. Angie said part 2. Yeah. Crucian said part 2. Now people who haven't been asking us questions is typing part 2. All right. So I think they want a part 2. So we'll discuss that and we'll let you guys know. Everyone have a great night. Thank you all. Thank you so much for coming. Love both of you, Pure Bliss and Serena. You guys have a wonderful night and a wonderful rest of the week. Okay. Bye.
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 Love.